Hey, what's up, fellas? Goy Maru here, and welcome to a game called Portrait of a Ghost. Now, this, if you can tell from this very familiar art style, which I hope you can, is made by the same creator of the game It Paints Me, which is a game that I've just recently played. But I did stack a couple of their games in my backlog because I really, truly did love It Paints Me. It had a very gothic, melancholic type of art style to it, and just a way of storytelling that I really did enjoy it. So, Portrait of a Ghost was a game they made before that one, but it's a game about a man named Arthur Hope who believes he can capture the dead with his camera. Part 1. How to profit off of grief. Right, this way, madam. Please make yourself comfortable. But why don't we have a chat before we begin? Tell me more about your dear husband. There. Yes, bless his poor soul. In a modest sitting room with curtains open to the afternoon sun, the widow perched like a shadow in the arms of a plush velvet seat, with her veil pulled back from her head, delicate fingers clutching the handkerchief she brought repeatedly to her large, sorrowful eyes. She made the perfect image, picture perfect, of the poor grieving soul that the gentleman sitting before her so often received. A poet might have described her glistening eyes as deep pools of wretched misery, or oceans that had no end. But Arthur Hope was not a poet. His only observation about the woman's face was his hope that she wouldn't burst into tears during the sitting. Arthur made his living off of grief, of course, but dealing with the grieving was a rather tiresome facet of his profession. As the widow went on about her poor deceased lover, his gentle and charitable nature, and so on, he carefully prodded her now and again about the man's general features, forming an image in his head of how best to shape his next creation. A young man with a lion's mane of bright hair, average height, deep set eyes. I'm sure I have a plate matching that description somewhere. It's a good thing I had that weak handy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a real picture to take first. There's many things I wish I said to him. He told me not to worry, but I'm sure he was a wonderful man, madame. I'm so sorry once again for your loss. You know, I always tell my clients I can never guarantee you my camera might capture a spirit. But today, I feel almost certain he might be in the room with us. Why don't we take your picture now and see for ourselves? Oh, yes, of course. Make yourself at home. I'll be right back. Center your subject within the frame. Oh, cool. Wait, it's like upside down. Is that fine? There we go. That should leave enough space to add a spirit. I need to try to give like a more British accent because I forgot this type of thing to have. We're ready to begin. Please stay still until I tell you when the exposure is complete. Yes. If you're there, my darling, please show yourself, please. Arthur Hope hadn't always been a charlatan. Once he had been Arty, a shy and painfully honest boy with angelic blue eyes and a limitless imagination. He spent every chance he could in his uncle's library, losing himself in tales of monsters and terror. They were never so frightening as the real world around him, he could honestly say. Honesty, however, would rarely turn out to help him. Honesty had not stopped his uncle's cane, nor his withering looks. It did not protect him from his schoolmates' vicious pranks, nor impress the teachers, gray-hollowed men with thinning hair and thick spectacles, at the various boarding schools that always inevitably sent him back home. It hadn't always been his fault. One had simply closed due to an unfortunate scarlet fever outbreak. No, it was a liar's world. By the time Arthur Hope first found himself behind the lens of his late uncle's sliding box camera, he had built a well, if not a kingdom of lies, then at least a barony. At just shy of 30, his schemes had brought him an unsteady income, and and the regard of a handful of influential friends, few of whom knew his background or how much he truly borrowed from them. Arthur, this man kind of became a prick. It kind of became like a dick for the world hollows people inside out. Arthur's uncle had taken up photography late in his life, having no family save for his troublesome nephew, had left the young man the aging house he turned into a studio, along with a small fortune in equipment after his death. Arthur had little interest in the profession beforehand, but even he could not resist the allure of burgeoning technology that was so much like magic. Capturing lights through a mechanical eye, preserving an image of the world, a single moment in time. It was something just like the tales of mystery he grew up on. The ability to capture his own likeness was, of course, its own draw. He had a fair face, he was not shy to admit, and would like a reminder of how it should he ever have the misfortune of living a long life. Carefully, he slid the plate holder out from the camera's wooden frame. A pile of discarded glass plates and blurry albumin prints sat on a table beside him, the fruits of his earlier attempts. I have a good feeling about this one. Let's get you to the dark room, shall we? It was as the prints formed in the early afternoon sun that Arthur Hope saw his uncle's ghost in the frame beside him. Spirit got on camera, spirit ghost photographs. I mean, it's what you wanted. Not really, but hey. Oh, I clicked these, my apologies. Photographer captures ghostly image, ghost photographers shock the world. The man by the camera, our spirits all around us, ghost photographer Arthur H. Hope claims to have the answer. It was only after sleepless nights of waiting for a spirit to accost him, then furiously rifling through his uncle's equipment, that he'd realized he'd made a simple and perfectly ordinary mistake. Photographic plates have to be cleaned very thoroughly to remove any imprint left by a previous negative. Arthur, an amateur, had not done so. Thus a trace of his uncle's self-portraits remained on the glass plate he'd used for his own. Oh, okay, that's how he started, or when he started his con artist business. But the fact that the image had lined up so perfectly was nothing short of a miracle. A miracle that sparked the idea for a brand new, lucrative story in Arthur's mind. It's him! Oh, my darling. I knew you were here with me this time. Thank you, Mr. Hope, thank you. He looks so peaceful. I don't know what to say. Overwhelmed, the widow began to sob. Arthur patted her back gently. I can earn more if I make them come back for a sitting or two before I give them a spirit. But I feel sorry for her this time. I'm growing soft. Not at all, madame. It brings me joy to know you have a guardian spirit watching over you even beyond the grave. I can be at peace now, thanks to you. Please, take this. She handed him a stack of crisp banknotes, far more than the agreed upon sum. I can't possibly, madame. I insist. Not a bad use of time, after all. Part 2. Portrait of a Girl. I mean, this guy's like, he's a prick for using people's grief to make money, but I suppose people have done worse. Late in the evening, a knock came at Arthur's door. The widow had been his last appointment of the day, but it was all too common for unwanted visitors to arrive long after closing. Sometimes he was depressed, sometimes an angry skeptic, sometimes a wretched grieving soul who would beg for his charity. Arthur. Here we go. Oh, not autosave. Oh, it's auto forward. So let's ignore it out of curiosity. We're gonna try again. I don't know how many endings there are in this game. I didn't actually get to read that, but we'll see it. Do the thing. We'll ignore it. He got up only to stretch and then returned to the desk where his correspondence was piled. More requests to travel for sittings. It's high time I opened a separate studio. but perhaps it'd be better to leave this town entirely first. His thoughts were interrupted by another knock, and soon another. Perhaps I should at least see who it is. Arthur crept down the staircase to the entryway of the old house and quietly approached the door. He carefully looked at the spy hole. Stood there in the rain was a girl. Oh, that's a very unnaturally looking woman. She didn't seem to have an umbrella or raincoat. It was a miracle she wasn't drenched thoroughly. Perhaps she'd arrived by carriage? But Arthur hadn't heard one approaching, and none were stopped in the street. Once more, she rapped on his door. Arthur wondered how long she'd been standing there. He decided to ignore her. Let's see how far this hoe can go. Because, I mean, let's be real. If anybody saw this, I would extremely hope you wouldn't open your door to this. Arthur stepped back from the door. Once more, the knocking came, growing more desperate. Perhaps she needs help. I hate to get involved, but it wouldn't do me good to become known for letting some poor soul catch her death in the rain. Oh, okay, so you let her in anyway. With some hesitation, Arthur swung the door open. Can I help you, miss? Oh, you look human. In the gloom of the rain, lit only with the lights coming from the hall, the young woman was surprisingly lovely. She looked about 20, with a face so fair she could have been a porcelain doll, if not for the deep brown eyes that stared with such vivid intensity from behind her dark lashes. Locks of her chestnut hair spilled from her bonnet, trimmed with wide ribbons and silk roses. Her gown was made of rich green satin and fine white lace and looked expensive, yet at least a decade out of style. The girl clearly came from money, but it seemed that she or her guardians had dated taste. Are you the photographer? Her voice was soft, but did not betray any nervousness. Her brown eyes stared right at him. Almost. Arthur felt straight through him. Well, yes, but my friends call me Arthur. I don't wish to become your friend, sir. But if you are indeed who you say you are, then I require your services. Making demands straight away, eh? Definitely a rich lass, perhaps even high-born. In that case, best to hear her out. What can I do for you, miss? You're the photographer, are you not? I need you to take my picture. I'd be happy to make an appointment with you, miss, but I can't guarantee a spirit will appear. I don't want anyone or anything else in the photograph. I just need my picture taken. Unlikely story. She wouldn't be the first to ask for a simple, ordinary sitting while secretly hoping for a ghost to appear. Well, I'm fully booked for quite a while, but I'd be happy to arrange a sitting. You have no one with you now, so why can't you take my picture? Miss, it's late. Lamplight makes for a poor image, and I have to wait until daylight to make the prints in any case. Might I also emphasize how inappropriate it is for a young lady to call upon a man uninvited after dark. Please, one picture, that's all I ask. Please, I've been waiting for so very long. I should. I think our choices, I don't know if our choices matter fully, but we'll just send her away. Although I know we all want to see what happens if we take a picture. I think I made my answer clear, miss. Good day. Please. Arthur slammed the door closed in her face. He waited there for a moment, perhaps out of some small sense of remorse for leaving a desperate girl alone in the rain. No further knocking came. Perhaps I could have offered her an umbrella, but she didn't ask, and it isn't my concern anyway. Sparing one final glance at the door, he turned his back and repeated it up the staircase to his study once more. Time passed, and Arthur soon forgot about his strange visitor. Right this way, Mrs. Harper. Can I offer you any tea? No, thank you. Of course. Did you bring a guest with you for the sitting? What? No, I came alone. Then who was that? Well, never mind. Ending 1, Memento Mori. That was a very quick ending. I didn't expect to get an ending so quickly from that. So, we will hear her out. Can I at least ask why you need a photograph so badly? There's somebody I must send my picture to. Somebody who I haven't seen in a very long time, who needs to see how I look now. How I've changed. There are plenty of other studios that could accommodate you. None of them would open their doors to me. None of them are like you. There truly is nobody in this world like you, sir. Well, if there's anything I can't resist, besides a large purse, it's flattery. And let's admit it, that sweet face isn't an easy one to refuse. Being around sobbing fools all day really has turned me soft. Fine, you've convinced me. Please step this way, Miss Edith. Edith Harper. Oh, interesting. Because in the ending that we just got, Mr. Harper was her father, I'm supposing. That's interesting. Can I offer you any tea? None, thank you. Please, can we hurry? As you wish. Oh, sure. Yeah, let me get your picture. It lets me. Oh, yeah. There you go. That's such a weird way to take a picture. Oh, I'm trying. We'll need more candles. I can't get an image like this. Technology is awfully inconvenient. You could have come by during daylight, you know. I'm losing our Arthur British voice. I'm sorry. Where are you? Where are you? Wait, where did she go? Are you ready yet? Yes. We can begin now. What's come over me? First I let some arrogant, ill-mannered girl walk over me like a carpet, and now I'm seeing things? I must be getting old. 59, 60. Done. You can move now, miss. Is that all? Good. I'll go prepare the plates now. But again, you'll have to come back tomorrow for the print, Miss Harper. I open it. I'll visit you at the same time tomorrow evening. Good night, sir. Wait. Stop her? Why not? Concerned. Actually, let's let her go. Let's let her go. Never mind. I'll see you tomorrow then. Disregarding his protest, she slipped away from the room, through the entryway, and out the front door into the rainy night. She didn't even ask to borrow an umbrella. Dang it. I've got to discuss payment too. Well, hopefully she brings enough with her tomorrow. Now I have to get this plate ready before it dries. But after that, perhaps I'll retire early. It certainly has been an interesting night. That night, Arthur Hope had strange dreams. Part 3. Phantoms. A chill wind rocked the house, rapping against the walls. Figures crept around the edges of Arthur's vision, flickering like flames, hovering like moths. A weight covered his entire body. He could not shift or twist his limbs, the blankets engulfing him like earth packed with stones. Heavy, cold, damp. Something wriggled under his clothes, creeping up his neck over the side of his cheek, into his eye sockets. Then it crawled into his open mouth, slithering down his windpipe. He tried to scream, but not a sound came. His jaw was locked in place. His lungs were still. More writhing things engulfed him, eating at his flesh, digging between his bones. Arthur jerked violently out of bed, gasping. Cold air filled his lungs, bringing him back to the waking world. He rubbed his eyes, then struck a match and lit the candle at his bedside table. The flame danced, he lifted it, gingerly in the dark. I just hate when you have dreams like that. You know what? It's not talking about myself, but I've never had a dream where that's like, I've had some horrifying dreams, though. I have a lot of nightmares, but nothing to that extent. No use trying to go back to sleep after that. What's a first? Then I head to my study and read. I'm losing this British. Creek. What? A noise rang out in the dark. Arthur listened. Sure, it must be the rain on the roof or a shutter against the windows. Or high heels walking through his house at night. But the sound was too close to come from outside. No, it was more like footfalls, the creaking of a floorboard. Good Lord, did someone break in while I was asleep? Quietly, Arthur reached beside his bed for the familiar weight of his uncle's cane, and carefully, cautiously stood up. Oh, that's scary. I don't see anything. We're good, right? I see a little light. Get a hold of yourself, Art. A burglar is nothing. You've dealt with worse. It's just like I think it's just like trying to find a good angle to actually reach the light. Yeah, it's just kind of hard. Still nothing. Ugh, it's pounding in my chest. It's all thanks to that blasted dream. Arthur, you got me on edge, bro. Nothing. Hello? I know you're there. Come out. Nothing. Did I imagine it? I'm sure I heard a sound. Oh, you actually, I don't need to do it. Oh, God. The sound came again, but thicker, heavier, clunking along the wooden floorboards. Arthur continued to the house, heartbeat growing faster, louder, more erratic with every step. His grip never left the hefty weight of the wooden cane. I'll teach you to never lie to me again, boy. I didn't, I swear it. Then who left it out in the rain? This book was more than your sorry hide. Oh, okay, we're like remembering Arthur's childhood. Jeez. But the cane seemed to grow heavier in his hand, then warmer, then white hot, like a flame. Arthur jerked and dropped it from his hand. It landed on the floorboards with a thud. He brought his searing hand to the candlelight. It was burned straight through the hot bone, leaving ruined, melted flesh on his blackened skeleton. Arthur, what's going on, man? Fire engulfed his body. His skin melted from his flesh, crisping and charring. He let go of the candle, screaming. The tiny flame licked at the wood and set it alight. Everything turned to smoke and fire and dust. Arthur tried to run and to scream again, but black smoke filled his lungs. His body felt like it was buried in earth. Oh God, this is actually a horrific mural. Hot, burning earth. Nothing was left of him now but bones and ash. And then there was nothing left at all. Nothing but darkness. And the sound of that infernal cane. Arthur's hope remains curled up on the floor, writhing like an insect, uttering pitiable, choking cries that spurred into rasping gasps. And there, as he lay on the floor, in the corner of his eye, blurry, barely visible, like a photographic negative, an afterimage even, a phantom. A figure stood, ghostly white. Part 4. Portrait of a Ghost. Oh, I thought we got a bad ending. No, we continue going after whatever just happened to Arthur. Oh God. Okay. I was not expecting this from this game. I'm loving it so far. I hope you are as well. Arthur Hope awoke at dawn in his bed. He lay silently, heart still racing as the faint ruby light traced his face. He breathed in, then out. In, and then out. Slowly until his heartbeat steadied. And he gingerly sat up and rubbed his eyes. I haven't had dreams like that since the old man. Well, not in a long time. He felt beside his bed. The familiar, terrible weight of that old wooden cane rested in the same spot it always did. I don't know why. Why on earth would you think it's a good idea to still keep the cane that a man beat you with? Like, I really think you should throw that out just for your own mental sake. A quick look in the mirror as he dressed confirmed that his body and skin remained intact and unburned. Good, thank God I'm still alive, not a skeleton. And he was none the worse for wear, save for a dark shadow blooming around his eyes. That morning, he skipped his usual of the paper and crept up to his study, unearthing a pen and ink and an old journal from his drawer instead. Familiar old handwriting and scribbles peeked out from the pages. Why am I so shaken up that I return to this? It's a shame no one's invented a camera that can capture dreams yet, but I suppose there'd be no need for poets. Fair enough, actually, yeah. The hours passed by, yet the previous nights had left him in such a daze. It was only after he sent off a tearful client in the afternoon that Arthur remembered the strange girl and her odd request. Dang it, it's cloudy out, but there should be enough light to get a print. Arthur carefully set the glass plates in the printing frame, secured a sheet of albumin paper against it, then closed the case and sat it by the windowsill. Now to let it sit. It was as the last rays of the sun faded that Arthur Hope pulled the image from the frame and stared straight into the face of a corpse. That is horrifyingly freaking cool. What's in the negative looked fine when I put it in. Did I expose it onto the wrong place? But none of my ghosts look like this. That girl, Edith, she must have tampered with it. But why? What does she want with me? Oh God, she's back. A familiar rapping came at the door. Arthur stared at the doorway with a sick feeling in his chest. No, he certainly did not. Oh, well, let's go again for the option that we would all choose if we were in this situation. Arthur waited for the infernal sound to stop. He buried his head in his arms. I've had enough of this. Enough! Gradually, the tapping softened, then slowed. Finally, it fell silent. Arthur breathed a deep sigh and quietly got up and peeked through the spy hole. Nobody was there. No girl in green satin. Not a single soul. Arthur gritted his teeth and turned away. Why are you so upset? Ah! The girl who stood in his sitting room wore no bonnet or day dress. Dirt and soil and damp, dark stains clung to her bare feet and rotted, ruined nightgown. Her skin clung to her flesh in patches, pieces of it eaten away and rotted to the bone. Her long hair was matted in thick tangles. Her eyes were gaping holes. Someone of your profession certainly startles easily. Miss Harper, what do you want? This isn't funny. Oh, God, certainly not. I'd like my photograph, please. What kind of trick is this? You're the ghost photographer, are you not? Isn't that why you agreed to take my picture? You're a ghost. You expected me to be among the living. Well, that's proper introductions, Arnold. I said that wrong 3 times. My name is Edith Emmeline Harper. I died in an accident 11 years ago. That's why you were dressed so old. That makes sense now. I'll spare you the details, but in short, I found it rather upsetting my body still hasn't been discovered. So when I heard about you, I decided to take the matter in my own hands. You expect me to believe any of this? Is this new to you? I thought you were more of the worldly type. See for yourself then. Touch you? Edith reached out toward him. Arthur jerked back, but the girl did not flinch. She gently lifted a filthy hand to his face. Arthur waited for the feeling of rot and flesh, but the girl's skin was smooth and cold. Ice cold. Well, I mean, this is not the worst thing in the world. Far too cold. And still to belong to something living. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kinda into this. As her bony fingers lingered on his face, he felt his own skin grow colder, tingling. So it felt, wait. So it felt like something was crawling beneath it. Never mind. Could you please stop touching me now? That's enough. Fine. You're dead. So what does a ghost want with me then? I want you to send that photograph to my brother. The stupid fool thinks I ran off with some man. Me, elope, honestly. Tell him to look for me near the old chapel where we used to play. Why don't you tell him yourself? Why haunt me? Very few people can see or hear ghosts, Mr. Hope. And of them, well, let's just say that few murderers end up as professional photographers. Oh, well, I see. What did you say? There was only one thing in common between the people who could see or hear me, Mr. Hope. They'd all killed before. I just gotta say, I'm not trying to interrupt the flow of the game, but that's really awesome. That the only people that can see ghosts are people that are like haunted by ghosts or haunted by the ghosts of people they've killed. That's really cool. Part 5, Memento Mori. It was named the ending as well. I've already been playing for 30 minutes. I feel like it's been 10. This game is so freaking awesome. Arthur Hope wasn't always a charlatan. Once, he'd simply been a desperate man. Once. Now that was no longer the case. Nobody looked twice at the well-dressed gentleman with twinkling blue eyes, even though he was far too young to need the heavy walking stick he carried as he grasped urn in hand to the shore side. There, he tossed a pile of ashes into the sea. Then he turned and walked away back the way he came. I never killed anyone. I didn't kill him. Get out, now, and don't come back. I still need you. I'm done helping you. Done. The dead should stay dead. Let's just stay out of the affairs of the living, dang it. Haven't I given enough? Haven't I suffered enough? How much more are you going to take from me? The girl looked at him with hollow, empty eye sockets. Her mouth was set in what almost looked like an expression of pity. When Arthur looked at her again, she was gone. Time passed, and the days moved on much like they always had. But Arthur never completely forgot his ghostly visitor. Sometimes he imagined he could see her hollow face peeking from behind a doorway, or the corner of the frame of his sliding box camera. But the next moment it would be gone. Arthur's clients continued to visit him, seeking to soothe their sorrow and grief, and Arthur continued to provide what only he could. And he might have done so for a long time, if not for the one ghost that turned out to be quite alive. A distraught young woman had visited him after her beloved had died at sea. His ship sunk beneath the waves. Yet a few weeks after his ghost portrait was taken, he turned up right at his beloved's doorstep, thin and haggard, but very much still breathing. Oh. Seeing that after the ship sank, the sailor miraculously washed up on a desert island, where he survived off of kelp and rainwater for weeks before finally being rescued. And Arthur was known as the scam artist he is. Soon people began to talk, and more inconsistencies in the spirit photographs came to be noticed, until finally one day, an angry crowd formed at Arthur's doorstep. But by then, the confident trickster had fled. Arthur Hope was never seen or heard from again. Indeed, the name Hope soon became forgotten, as other so-called spiritualists and mediums followed in his footsteps, claiming to speak to the dead or hear otherworldly voices. Most of them were frauds. Not a scant few truly believed in their own powers. So desperate they were to speak to their departed loved ones. Edith pitied them more than she pitied the bloodied ghost she would pass by every now and then. Ghosts like the man who once had devilish eyes, and smiled slyly from behind a sliding box camera. Oh. Interesting. Was that talking about Arthur? It would appear from time to time in the window of the old house until it was destroyed. And then along the shore of the sea on nights when the fog rolled in. He knew that the living world would never dare hope to hear the voice of the dead. If only they knew the sound of Arthur Hope's blood-curdling screams. Oh, fudge. Arthur got... I suppose he got what was coming to him. What a brutal end for Arthur. Jeez, I was not expecting that. I don't know how many endings there are. I probably need to look. There has to be more than that. I hope so. There are 4 endings in total. So we got that one. And we got the one where like it's just over. I'm trying to see where the choices would be. I suppose there's probably an ending where you're just constantly helping Edith, right? Okay, and here let's try this. This is gonna be new now. Arthur stopped her, concerned. Do you need me to call you a carriage? It's awfully rainy. Oh, that's sweet of you, but decorum isn't necessary. You don't have to act concerned for me. She smiled a little sadly, quickly turned her back, and again headed for the doorway. I'll be back soon. Good night. Disregarding his protest, she slipped from the room through the entryway and out the front door into the rainy night. So this is new. This is just after the dream sequence of him like walking through his house. Yeah, when he writes stuff. This is new. The hours passed by. Yeah, Arthur found himself such a daze that he could barely focus as he lined up shot after shot and prepared plate after plate. Because we can't skip, this is new. I love this. A strange night. Old memories. A strange yet stunning girl. It was late afternoon by the time Arthur realized he'd forgotten to do what the same girl who so occupied his mind had asked of him. Dang it. It's cloudy out, but there should be enough light to get a good print. Alright, and we skip again. And we answer the door. Come right in. Arthur stomped to the door and flung it open, 1,000 questions, accusations on his tongue. You have a lot to explain, Miss Harper. This isn't... Nobody was there. No girl in green satin, not a single soul. Arthur gritted his teeth and turned away. Why are you so upset? And here's the girl. Her fingers lingered there until Arthur... Oh, this is new. As she grabbed his face. Fingers lingered there until Arthur finally grasped her hand with his own. It felt like gripping ice. The longer he held, the more his own skin grew cold, numb, and then prickled, like something was crawling beneath it. And then he pushes her off. That's enough. Arthur Hope was not always a charlatan. Oh, this is new entirely. Once he'd been a penniless young man struggling to make an honest living, and often had to supplement his income through other means. When one day, a letter arrived for him from his elderly uncle, requesting his assistance around the household due to the old man's ailing health. Young Arts packed his few belongings and headed to what he hoped would be a welcome reunion. That hope would quickly be dashed. I never killed anyone. I didn't kill him. I didn't mean to. He'd have a foot in the grave already, so I didn't. Arthur, I just wanted to scare him. He deserved that much. He treated me like dirt my entire life. And then when he called me to his sickbed, I thought maybe he'd apologize to me just once. But no, the old man wanted to cut me out of his own will. Me, his only flesh and blood, just to spite me. He knew that I had nothing. He knew that money was the difference between life and death, but all he wanted to do was spit in my face at the end. What else could I have done? Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Look at you. You're alive, aren't you? So as long as you're alive, you can change. You can claw yourself out from whatever hell you've built. It's only as ghosts who have to be stuck in the past. Yet you've been haunted all this time, haven't you? It's done. I signed it in your name, so we'll be sure to open it. Thank you. Arthur carefully placed the sealed envelope into his coat pocket and dusted himself off. His possessions, most of the things that belonged to his uncle, rather, had all been sold or given away. Pale daylights filtered through the curtains onto an almost empty room. The house felt like a ghost of itself. Arthur picked up his worn leather suitcase, packed with the few belongings he had first arrived with long ago, and checked that the envelope was still in his pocket. Then he walked down the empty hall. He stopped when he saw the familiar shape of the wooden cane resting against the wall. He briefly picked it up, feeling its weight, ran his fingers along its aged surface, then sighed and set it down again. He walked out the front door without looking back, a figure only he could see trailing behind him. "Oh, you're following me all the way there. What will you do?" "Start over." "Well, try to. I need time to sort out all my messes. Time away from here. It's not like I have anything tying me to this place. I do wonder, though, if ghosts exist, why didn't the old man ever haunt me? Perhaps he had no reason to stay. Ghosts aren't eternal. They fade away just like people do. Like I will too, is what it sounds like she wants to say." Arthur exited the post office and decided to walk to the harbor. The air was cool and damp. He carefully stepped over puddles left behind from the rain, weaving between passerby, people rushing here, there, without any break in their monotone lives. But at least they were alive. What will you do? What I've done for the past decade, I suppose. Wander around, see the sights, watch my brother and nieces. Wait until I get sick of the living world and see what lies beyond. Say, can ghosts travel? Far away from where they died, I mean. I don't know. They can't say I've ever tried. Well. Oh! Well, oh my crap. Okay, don't worry. I promise you, this is why you get all the bad endings first. Because I don't want to leave your mind with wondering, like, I wonder what that choice would lead to, even though I saw the best ending. Don't worry, we always go for the best ending. So we are going for this one. We just gotta go for not the best ending first. I see. Well, I guess this is goodbye. Yes, for now at least. Everybody dies, you know. Perhaps I'll see you again sooner than you think. Don't tell me that. You just said I might die soon. Farewell, Edith. That's a horrible thing to say. As the ship pulled away from the harbor, Arthur spotted a familiar face amongst the passengers on deck. Mr. Hope, is that you? Madame, what brings you here? I'm returning home to see my family. I know my dear Samuel wouldn't want to see me all by myself. But what about you? I'm doing some traveling. Hey, what's up, fellas? Koimar here from the future, and I have to say, I'm sorry for interrupting your watching of this, but I did not realize that character director, the widow, is Maria from It Paints Me, and I had no idea until I was editing and she mentioned Samuel again and how she lost him, how she's heading back home. And then that's, like, I suppose when the story starts picking up of It Paints Me and we see that Samuel is still waiting for her as like a ghost type entity. So it's really fascinating that we get like a connected verse here. I'm sorry, that was really awesome. It's sad because we know what happens to her. That's really cool that we see Maria even in this game thinking about her love. Oh, just a moment. You have a bit of dust on your shoulder. As the young woman's attention was diverted, Arthur deftly slipped a wad of banknote. Arthur, you are a beautiful man. That is actually the nicest thing in the freaking world. Definitely slipped a wad of banknotes into her pocket. I wish you all the best, madam. You as well, Mr. Hope. Take care. That is actually really amazing that he does something like that. As the widow walked off, Arthur turned and gazed out at the sea. The sky had cleared, and sunlight now sparkled on the crashing waves. He stared out at the shore, and thought he could see, just for a moment, a flash of green standing in the harbor. But the next moment, it was gone. I was at our ghost woman, Finn. No, it's not finished, because that is not the best ending possible. Oh, wait. Arthur H. Hope be arrested and convicted on fraud charges for the next 5 years. It seemed he never could change his old habits. He was unable to complete his sentence, however, as his health would quickly worsen. He succumbed to the consumption in a matter of months. His last words were supposedly a name, Edith. Coincidentally, it would be Miss Edith Amy Harper who compiled the poems he'd written during his short imprisonment and published them posthumously. Yet nobody could figure out in the end just how he'd managed to make ghosts appear in his photographs, or if they were real all along. Ending 3. I'll look all these up and give you a description like in the comments of like what these words mean, like I did with It Paints Me. So again, not the best ending because Arthur sadly died in a prison cell with thinking of Edith in his final words. Let's get the best ending now. I hope this is the best ending. I hope we get a really nice ending. Would you like to? Would you like to join me? I mean, countless years that I didn't want to talk to sounds awfully dull. I thought you said you had enough of ghost. Fake ghost. Metaphorical ghost. Not the real thing. Well, I suppose I'd better keep an eye on you. Who knows what trouble you'll dig yourself into. And you are far better company than some of the serial killers I've met. That's horrifying. And fascinating. Tell me more. As the ship pulled away from the harbor, Arthur spotted a familiar face. Does he still slip the bank stuff back to her? Yeah, he still does it. I wish you all the best, madame. You as well, Mr. Hope. Take care. Edith. A girl had stepped away to watch the sea, transfixed on the deep blue that stretched towards the horizon. The sky had cleared, and sunlight now sparkled on the crashing waves. Arthur stood beside her, quietly, and gazed out as the ship slowly sailed away from shore. If he were a poet, he might have tried to describe the color of the sky or the depths of the water breaking around them. But he only sighed and felt a little sorry that his sliding box camera hadn't fit in his case. Oh, that's some. Okay, wait. We're gonna see if it's a much better ending when we see the epilogue. So let's see. Because Edith says she's gonna like keep an eye on him, so like maybe he's actually not gonna be a con artist. Arthur Chopos has come to consumption within a decade, but only after writing a series of beloved mystery novels that featured a cunning detective and his unusual companion, a ghost. He became known for his odd habits, including carrying a sliding box camera around with him and seemingly always talking to himself. His last words were supposedly a name, Edith. To his dying day, he never revealed just how he made his ghost appear in his photographs. Some believe they were simply real all along. That's a much better ending. Carpe diem, which I actually know what that means. Slightly, barely, a little bit. I'll put it in the comments. I slightly know what that means. That was so much more nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. Let me see the gallery. All the pictures. We have them all. I want to see the credit. Yeah, you see the credits of the people who actually worked on this. That was so much nicer than I mean, don't get me wrong, It Paints Me was still amazing. I'm not saying nicer, it's like a nicer game. I'm saying nicer endings. Like we actually got a really happy ending. Happy-ish. No, actually just happy. Because like Arthur succumbs within a decade. Keep in mind, this game said in the old times, Arthur died at a good age. Like he didn't die at a necessarily young age, because I think he said he was 30 when this started. So 40 for the time this was, he lived a good life for the most part. It's a pretty good age to die. So yeah, no, I'm really happy that that was actually a rather nice ending. Because It Paints Me, it didn't have it wasn't all bad endings, but all the endings were kind of like, how to say, not a very closed off story. Well, it was closed off, but just not super like Arthur, we got to see him go through his life and then how his life ends and all what was important to him. Like Edith became a part of his life and he, I guess, ended up falling in love with her. If you know, like he just ended up, and even when he dies, you kind of think like, even if he dies, it's still a good ending because he becomes a ghost and he could just be with Edith. So it's actually just, I don't know. I'm a sucker for those just happy endings, like where it's everything's nice. So that is on me. But I love this game. I do hope you enjoyed it too. I really love this creator's stuff. I'll link their itch.io page in this game in the description, just in case you want to see if you can find something else that I didn't, or just want to experience it for yourself, because these games are really lovely. And I highly encourage you to check out this stuff for yourself. Thank you all so much again for watching. I sincerely appreciate you all, and farewell for now.